With my grandmother being a civil rights activist and being a politician in my lifetime, definitely inspired me to think like I can do something that seemed so much smaller, like if you compare it. I've always wanted to do something, any job that has to do with like interacting with people and humans. And I do have one degree that isn't like psychology or humanities based, and it's in environmental and sustainable science. And I want to just educate more like youth on topics like integrated behavioral health, because it's something that they're not aware of that could improve systems that we use every day so much more, that just because people aren't aware of it, we aren't using. I just always felt like very drawn towards like youth and like young people. I think a lot of people say young people don't have anything holding them back creatively, and they're just, they learn things a lot quicker because there aren't a bunch of things holding them back mentally. And I think that always made it more fun to like work with youth for me. I think my favorite part about being homeschooled was probably being done like early in the day when people still had hours left of school. I was like at home chilling. Probably the lack of like social interaction. I'm like a social butterfly and I love talking to people. And so not like having that readily available every day definitely like was hard for me. My steps towards adjusting to being homeschooled, already being an only child, I was good at like being alone and giving myself something to do. Also keeping myself on like a schedule, even though like I was homeschooled, I gave myself like a uniform and I gave myself a schedule every day. Definitely made me like adjust to it and like comfortable with it, I think. So what made me come up with the Dorothy G. and STEAM Leadership Institute was basically I took a work trip with my mom to South Africa one year, and I met a lot of girls there that shared a lot of the same interests with me when it came to arts, but also STEM and things like that. Because back home I had been in a lot of like STEM programs and arts programs, but never like one where that like gap between the two was bridged. And we were kind of talking about how, there are a lot of creative aspects that go into STEM, and how we wish that the fun of creativity could be like a part of that. And talking to them about that kind of inspired me to create my camp. We pick the candidates who want to work with kids the most, because when it comes to working with kids, you have to want to do it, you have to want to engage with them. And so we pick the people who are most excited about that, because I feel like once you're most excited about that, you can fall into any space when it comes to STEAM. And when it comes to picking our campers, they usually send in a little video saying why they want to be in the camp. And usually you can tell like just based off of their energy and their reasons. In 5 years, I'm not sure where I see STEAM as like a whole. I feel like I see a lot more people definitely like talking about it and having like conversations about it, and maybe different programs like similar to mine. But I don't know. I hopefully see like my like STEAM, what I have going on, like franchised in like a couple years, at least, a brick and mortar like one other place. I think anybody who like, has interacted like with me, like even people who aren't my friends, just associates, will tell you like I'm a very normal like teenager, just like doing all the same things that like everyone else does, like when they leave work or when they leave school. Like I get on my phone and like I talk to my friends and I feel normal, so I like act normal. I'm wearing royal blue and I'm going to Phillips High School's prom. I love my city. I feel like that's just something like about people from Chicago, like we just love our city because it really is the best one. And so to be like recognized and congratulated, and to have that my city have that pride in me definitely is just something that kind of like leaves me speechless. I think there were definitely like homecomings or like school teams. Like there are school teams in every different like area and field, and like there were like no school teams at all for me, and there were no spirit weeks for me and stuff like that. And I always thought like stuff like that looked so fun and like cool in the movies, but like that's kind of all it like was for me, was just like in the movies. I definitely faced a lot of people like not wanting to teach me. Like there were certain subjects that I could even understand why they didn't want to teach, like sexual ed, like education on a higher level. They just didn't feel comfortable teaching to like a younger kid, like things with certain like subject matter. They just didn't feel comfortable, and it was like really hard like working with that and like trying to find ways to still get my credit hours dealing with that. My next major goal that I want to accomplish in life is just like being at peace. I feel like that's a really hard thing for everybody to like accomplish, and that we're always constantly like trying to. But for me, it's no like actual, accolade or anything like that that I'm trying to accomplish. It's just like, being at peace with the world around me. It's kind of a hard question. I think some of my favorite memories were like things like getting honored by BT at Black Girls Rock, and definitely like experiencing being in City Hall with my grandmother and getting honored there and just seeing her in that element. I think moments like that are just very like sentimental because of like knowing about them in the past, and like now being honored like in those spaces is definitely like the most memorable ones.